This is the NintendoRepairShop.com, and we're going to replace the touchscreen on a Nintendo DS Lite. On this unit, the touchscreen works, but what we're going to do is, because it has a scratch here, customers requested that it be changed out. So the tools you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, you want both to be of the small variety, a tri-wing screwdriver, which is available at the NintendoRepairShop.com, a hobby knife, and a pair of tweezers. You'll also need your replacement touchscreen. To start with the unit, we're going to flip it over and open the battery cover. Just undo your screw here. And go ahead and open it up with the hobby knife. Set that to the side and go ahead and remove your battery. Alright, we're also going to remove the two rubber feet right here on the unit. Just put your knife under and lift them both off and set them to the side. Now we have a total of 7 screws. You have 3 Phillips head screws located in these 3 spots, and then you have 4 tri-ring screws, one located here, and then here, here, and here. So we're going to go ahead and remove all of our screws, starting with the Phillips. And we've got all 3 of them pulled out. There we go. One of the things required with replacing the touch screen is removing the border, the colored border of your unit, so that way you can transfer it over to the new touch screen. If you're just doing a shell change and need to keep your touch screen, it is important to be very careful, and I will show you why later when you're separating the touch screen. Now we've got all our screws out. You're just going to hold your buttons down and lift the case, and then you're going to just insert your flathead screwdriver and run it around the side. And then when you get over here around the volume button, you just lift it and it should pop right open. And now we have our lower outer shell. We can set this to the side, and we're going to go ahead and remove the left and right shoulder buttons. There's 2 small springs. You have the cylinder. You notice how I'm holding it. I'm just kind of keeping it. And these 2 springs are different on each one. They coil down differently, so that way they sit closer to the bottom. So if you do take it off and it falls apart on you, do make sure you put the springs back in the right spot. And we have 2 Phillips head screws here and here holding the motherboard down. So we're going to go ahead and loosen and take these 2 screws out and set these to the side. And you're going to remove your antenna and your microphone clip. So you can use your tweezers or the small screwdriver and just insert it underneath the end here and just lift them off. And you want to just set the microphone to the side, straighten out the antenna, and you're going to have to pull the antenna wire through the underside of the game slot. So, and you want to be gentle with it. You do not want to put any extra pressure. You don't want to cause any damage to any parts under the slot, and you don't want to rip that end off. You would have to remove the game slot in order to get everything out. Alright, we've got both of these removed. One part that makes this easier, you do not have to, but the touch clip here is very fragile. You can always send your unit in to us to repair, and we can fix almost any problem. If you do damage the touchscreen clip, I'm going to hold it up, it's very small and it is very difficult to resolder these points on this. So if you do not have any soldering experience, then that is a repair that you would not want to try on your own. It is quite an advanced project to take. So you're just gonna open your unit and push the motherboard out just by pushing on the lower screen. And here you have your upper LCD ribbon clip. So you're just gonna use your fingernail and fire up the small black lock, and you can separate the motherboard from the upper half of the unit. We can just set that to the side. Here you have the same thing, clip there, but you'll want to first, as you can see, the ribbon cable is very small and fragile on this. So you'll want to take your hobby knife, and right here on the front, just pop the catch up there, and you can use the back of the hobby knife to nudge that ribbon cable out. And here on the front side, you'll just use your fingernail. You can also use the flathead screwdriver. Just lift the clip on this connector and you can pull the lower assembly out. Set the motherboard to the side, and we have the lower LCD and touchscreen assembly separated. So what we're going to do now is, right here there is a small rubber double-sided sticky pad that separates the two parts. So you're going to use your hobby knife, and you're going to be careful. You do not want to scratch your LCD, or you will have to replace that as well. But you just insert the blade underneath of the rubber and slowly move it across, going around the screen. You should be able to see inside between the two, and you will want to barely see the edge of your blade. And just slowly move it around the entire outside perimeter. Always start with the bottom portion, as when I get around to here, I make a full circuit all the way around, and you generally can just lift the two sections apart and they'll separate neatly. I'll go ahead and set my lower LCD to the side, and we're going to remove this rubber border around here. They're only available with new shell change kits to get a replacement border, and you just gently want to lift it off of your touchscreen all the way around. Oftentimes one corner will break, which is not a big deal. When you set it back on your LCD, the adhesive will hold it. It is important to have this part, this rubber piece though. If you have your LCD and touchscreen directly against each other, you can damage your LCD every time you touch the touchscreen. This helps to keep them separated. Alright, we have the two separate now. You can set the touchscreen to the side and go ahead and bring the lower LCD back over. And we can go ahead and, using tweezers and your fingers, just get it set back onto the LCD and lined up. And once you just get one part lined up, everything else should follow. And just tap it down all the way around. Lay this section down. And as you can see, it is very sticky. Alright, and then we just have to get this last portion set. Alright, now we're ready to put on our new touch screen. So we'll set this to the side. We'll bring the upper unit back over. On your new touch screens, they're generally going to have film on both sides, and that just prevents scratches, fingerprints from transferring onto the glass. So you can use a hobby knife and just at one corner scratch that barrier over, and you'll go ahead and peel it off the back side. And you do need to have your touch screen aligned with the LCD properly, otherwise they will not fit back inside the case right. So if you just set it inside of here and you have your sticky on top of your lower LCD, you can just go ahead and set it down and it will automatically be aligned for you properly. So the next part that we're going to remove is we're going to take this border off of the old touch screen. So same thing here. You're going to want to insert your knife between the touch screen and your border, and slowly bring your knife around, and as soon as you round your second corner, you should be able to just lift the lower LCD border off of the touch screen. And that will keep your adhesive so that you can reuse this again. It is important to know that the original touchscreen from the Nintendo DS that comes with the unit, not a replacement, will have, as you can see here, I just separated this It looks like it would be a screen protector, but it's not. This is actually part of your touch screen. So if you pull it off, and being as we can't use this unit again, it's scratched. You'll know whether or not you've damaged your unit, because generally it will have this border. So if this piece comes off, you have rendered the touchscreen useless, and you will need to replace it. So we can go ahead and begin to put the unit back together. We'll take our motherboard, go ahead and set the lower LCD assembly. Use your tweezers. There's two small tabs to squeeze the ribbon cable into the connector and just push it down. And on the back side here, you will need to be careful again with the ribbon cable. Make sure your catch is up. Go ahead and just set your thumb behind it and use your tweezers. And it is kind of difficult to get it seated properly, but once you do, you just push your catch back down. And as I've said before, we can perform this repair for you by visiting the NintendoRepairShop.com. If you're not comfortable or you haven't performed any repairs like this before, and it can save you from any troubles that you might come across if you are inexperienced. So we can go ahead and reattach the upper LCD ribbon cable. You're going to want your antenna to be behind the unit. Just go ahead and slide your connectors together, make sure it's seated all the way. And before we go ahead and flip this over, you can use your hobby knife to catch the edge of the screen protector here. Sometimes it's a little difficult to have it on well. So when we peel that off, it's nice, neat, and we just go ahead and flip the motherboard over and set everything into place. And we will go ahead and replace the two screws on the motherboard, here and here. When you're feeding the antenna line back underneath of the game slot, you want to first make sure it's very straight, and with the Wi-Fi card off, it can be extremely helpful because you can look through this side and see where you're feeding through. But after doing it for quite a while, you can just push it right on through. Take your Wi-Fi card, set it back on and press firmly, make sure it's properly seated, and go ahead and connect your black antenna here on the Wi-Fi card. You just set it over top of the connecting port and push down with your finger. There we go. And then same thing with the microphone. You just go ahead and set the connector right over its port and push down, and then just kind of set your wires so everything's nice and tight. Make sure you route your antenna line. You want it to sit over here between these two spots, and then you want it to run right behind the power port, just like this. You do not want it to run over any of these resistors, the fuse, or this coil here. If you do, it can short it out and cause your fuse to blow out, and you'll have to replace that as well. So we're going to go ahead and put our buttons back on. You set it in and put your spring in the catch here. There we go. Now we can go ahead and put our lower outer shell back on. You want to make sure that your sliders are in the proper place. Your power switch is always going to be in the down position, and whether your volume switch is on the left or the right, you want to make sure that your volume switch here on the case corresponds to that as well. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that the power is down and our volume sliders are matched up, and you just set the outer part of the case and give it a soft but firm press. Go ahead and put our screws back. So we're going to start with our 4 tri-wings. You have your 1 black tri-wing that will go here at the top in the DS slot. And then you have 3 long tri-wings, and those go on the 3 outside corners. And now we have the 3 Phillips screws here, here, and 1 here inside of the battery cover. We'll go ahead and put these back in. And we can go ahead and put our battery and battery cover back on. And screw everything down. And lastly, before we open everything back up, go ahead and place our rubber feet over the 2 gold screws. Okay, now we can test the touch screen. So just go ahead and open up the unit, power it on. And I'll bring our screen up, and we've changed our touch screen. Everything's working alright. Go ahead and power it down, and the last thing to do is take your border and just kind of get it set in there. It doesn't have to be perfect as soon as you set it down. The easiest thing to do is just take your stylus and run it around the edge of the border. and we've just replaced the touchscreen on a Nintendo DS Lite. You can order your tri-wing screwdriver from the NintendoRepairShop.com. Any parts and accessories that you need for your Nintendo DS, and also if you would prefer to have your unit repaired by one of our service technicians, you can order a repair on the website, NintendoRepairShop.com. Thank you.